are watching Voice of Canada and this is Haroon. The Vatican says Pope Francis is willing to come to Canada to meet the indigenous leaders, though a date has not been set yet for him to do so.
The discoveries of hundreds of unmarked graves on the grounds of former residential schools earlier this year revived calls for Pope Francis to make a formal apology. Now, according to a statement from the Vatican, he is willing to come to Canada.
We're very grateful and deeply appreciative that he's accepted the invitation, especially as a sign, I think, of our solidarity with our First Nations and Indigenous peoples.
There is that importance of the symbolism, which has real and concrete repercussions for how we move ahead as a country.
Spanning generations, more than 150,000 Indigenous children were forced to attend government-funded residential schools, 3/4 of them run by the Roman Catholic Church. The Canadian government apologized in 2008. Canadian bishops followed suit earlier this year, but nothing from the Holy See. A date for a visit from the Pope is still to be determined, and there is no confirmation an apology would be guaranteed.
The fact that the institution will not apologize and has not apologized speaks to the character of the institution.
Our families are out there. They're hurting. They've been in pain for many, many years. And, it has been long overdue. Like I said, the Pope should have been here.
A sincere apology is an important step for healing, say Indigenous leaders, but reparations also need to be made.
Part of that apology comes with dollars.
Also, for help in extraditing Catholic Church members, many priests or others within the Catholic Church who await justice in Canada for alleged crimes that they have not ever stood trial for.
A meeting between Pope Francis and a delegation of Indigenous leaders and survivors is scheduled in December at the Vatican. Canada's Catholic bishops now say that meeting will also serve to plan the Pope's visit to Canada. Donna?
All right, Raquel Fletcher in Ottawa, thank you.
Toronto Mayor John Tory is facing questions this week after some of the attention in the Rogers family feud shifted to him, given his position as a long-standing advisory member of the family trust that controls the company.
If there's been anything that the city required of me at any hour of the day, on any day of the week, any day of the month, any week of the year, I devote myself to that first. And that includes sometimes putting my family a second.
The emphatic response from Mayor John Tory when pressed about his position on Rogers Control Trust. Tory's connection to the late Ted Rogers is a long-standing one. He also previously ran the company's cable division.
And the fact that I might take a few hours of my time to do something else, whether it's in respect of an obligation I made to a friend, or whether I was out playing a sport, or spending time with my family, or going to see some art, I think that people will understand.
The mayor of Canada's largest city has found himself facing questions about whether his connection to the company presents a conflict of interest. On Wednesday, telling media he has abided by the law scrupulously every day.
I am compensated for this role as other people are who are in similar kinds of positions with trusts.
Edward Rogers was recently ousted as chairman of the board after an attempt to remove CEO Joe Natale. He's now gone to BC's Supreme Court attempting to legitimize a company board he formed.
You cannot be at a senior position in the trust and in the city and simultaneously represent the best interests of each.
Richard LeBlanc sees Tory's role in the trust as a conflict of interest.
It is the power of RCI, is this trust board. So in many jurisdictions, when politicians go into office, they stand down from all commercial relationships. And that's for the simple reason of exactly what we're going through now.
The BC Supreme Court, meanwhile, is slated to hold a hearing on November 1st.
The initial court process will decide who the board is, and depending on that decision, it really affects what happens to the senior management team, including the CEO, Joe Natale.
Sick of those pesky work emails you get after you have clogged out for the day. Ontario is now mulling new legislation to give people the right of disconnect to ensure work won't follow you after your shift is over.
It no longer matters where you are, in the office, at home, on the street in the cold. That anxiety-inducing notification on our phones will find us, and at all hours. Well, leave it to France to start the revolution, which it did in 2016 by giving workers the right to disconnect after work. It's an idea Ontario is trying to emulate.
We're taking a side, and it's the side of workers.
It makes for a nice soundbite, but employment experts don't see how you can legislate in a world economy.
Frankly, it makes no sense at all. Let's assume you're dealing with China. Let's assume you're dealing with Taiwan or North Korea or South Korea or any other country that's a trading partner. You better not be disconnected at nighttime because that's when they're open.
I don't know how long we're going to see this seismic shift when it comes to employee empowerment, but this sort of quiet revolution we've seen to start working from home, adding in flexibility, that is going to continue.
Still, Mario Zelaya likes the idea. When he started up Bad Axe Throwing in 2014, his target wasn't the bullseye. It was to get away from 80-hour work weeks in marketing. Expanding Bad Axe to over 30 locations in North America took work, yet he did it with his own policy of no business after 5.
I find it more expensive to lose people. Having to hire someone else takes a long time. Seeing if they're the right fit, train them, build them up, and just burn them out. It doesn't make any sense.
The market spoke to him, and he listened by turning off all notifications. Mike Trolay, Global News, Toronto.
5 young men were honored by Ridge Meadows RCMP for saving 2 people from Lower Falls at Golden Ears Park.
Clinging to the rock, feeling the freezing water rushing just meters below. These 5 men standing above are their only hope.
And that's Kuljinder, Arvinjeet, Ajay, Gurpreet, and Gagandeep. Your quick thinking and your heroic actions undoubtedly saved the lives of the 2 young men out at Golden Ears Park.
It was Thanksgiving Monday. The friends were enjoying the day off, planning to head to the Lower Falls, when they were stopped by a woman asking if they could call 911. Her friends were stuck and needed help.
But we tried, we didn't have any network, so we went to the point. We stood there for 10-15 minutes thinking about how can we get them out.
Putting their heads together, or more accurately, what was on them, they came up with a plan.
Gagandeep gave us an idea, why can't we use our turbans and jackets so we can pull that guy up?
With one end tied to a tree, the friends started lowering the makeshift rope down the rock face toward the pair.
We can see his face and he was so scared.
With the string of turbans in one hand, the stranded hikers still slip with every step. But this is their only chance.
There's no any other option.
Finally making contact, fear gives way to relief.
We were so happy, and the guy down there, he was so happy as well.
We would like to honor these 5 young men standing here today.
Ridge Meadows RCMP now presenting the friends with the Community Leader Award, recognizing their bravery and heroic actions.
It's an unexpected thing for us, yeah.
But it's removing their turbans, an act of religious significance that makes this rescue that much more incredible.
It is unique in the sense that a turban's a Sikh religious symbol. So it was amazing.
And in this case, there wasn't a second thought.
In these matters, we really don't care if it's religious or not. It's one person's life, we can save it.
The video of the rescue has since made headlines worldwide. But for these humble heroes, it's only their community that matters. And in this moment, they've made them very proud.
We just did it as a human being. We were so happy we saved a life with this.
Kylie Stanton, Global News.
Alberta Premier Jason Kenney announced Tuesday that over 60% of Albertans have voted to reject equalization payments from the Canadian Constitution.
Just over a week ago, Albertans voted on a clear question. Should Section 36(2) of the Constitution Act 1982, Parliament and the Government of Canada's commitment to the principle of making equalization payments, be removed from the Constitution? Today, we have heard the results. A clear majority, 62% of Albertans have rejected the fundamentally unfair equalization program. In other words, 62% of Albertans are demanding a fair deal in the Canadian Federation. It received majority support in virtually every region of the province, in large urban centres, in mid-sized cities, and in small rural communities. Later today, I will be tabling a motion in the Legislative Assembly to ratify these results, which, if passed, will formally initiate a constitutional amendment negotiation. This is based on the very clear language of the Supreme Court of Canada in its 1998 secession reference, in which the Supreme Court said that the constitutional right of each participant in the Federation to initiate constitutional change must be recognized, and that this right implies a reciprocal duty on the other participants to engage in discussions to address any legitimate initiative to change the constitutional order. Albertans are and always have been proud Canadians. In many ways, I believe Albertans are big Canadians, generous Canadians. And in many ways, Alberta is the most Canadian of the 10 provinces because of the huge migration to this province from across the country, from Newfoundland to British Columbia. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians have come to Alberta to work hard and to pursue opportunity, to be part of our opportunity society. And Albertans are proud to have played a major role in Canadian prosperity, to have shared so much of our good fortune and hard work and the benefit of our natural resource wealth with other parts of Canada when times have been good here but bad elsewhere. In fact, Alberta taxpayers, through their federal taxes, have contributed over $630 billion net more to the rest of the country than they received back in federal benefits and transfers since the mid-1960s. $200 billion more in net contributions made by Alberta taxpayers to Ottawa in the last decade alone. Even while we were going through a period of deep economic adversity, the recession that began in 2015, Albertans continued to make a net contribution to the Federation in the range of $20 billion a year. And again, Albertans have always been proud to share much of their good fortune with the rest of the country. But all we have asked for, and what we are saying with these referendum results, is that we must have a fair deal. If Ottawa and our fellow provinces want to benefit from the hard work and the resources of Albertans, then Ottawa must allow us to develop those resources, to grow our economy. Instead, what we have faced is an endless series of discriminatory legislation and policies that have impeded Alberta's economy, undermined our constitutional authority, including our ownership and control of our own natural resources. And all of this has resulted in tens of thousands of lost jobs, of dreams dashed, of people moving from prosperity in too many cases to despair. Today's results speak clearly about that frustration. Federal laws and policies that have singled out Alberta, like, for example, the tanker ban, the first time in Canadian history that the Government of Canada has specified one product to be banned for export, a product that is only produced in Alberta. A clear and direct attack on our economic interests. Bill C-69, the so-called new Federal Environmental Assessment Act, we call it the No More Pipelines Law, a clear violation of Alberta's exclusive constitutional authority under Section 92A of the Constitution. A critical win by Premier Peter Lougheed, a recognition that in each province the legislature may exclusively make laws in relation to exploration for non-renewable resources in the province, without which Alberta would not have ratified the 1982 Constitution Act. And yet that essential power, so critically important for our prosperity, is under direct attack from Ottawa. The Trudeau government's killing of the Northern Gateway pipeline, they're killing effectively through regulation of the Energy East pipeline project. Their abject surrender to the presidential veto of the Keystone XL pipeline. Watching other provinces now being given effective vetoes over interprovincial pipelines while importing energy from overseas. Other provinces banning development of natural resources and thereby benefiting under the current unfair equalization formula. While Albertans contribute typically $20 billion a year, the government of Quebec receiving $13 billion a year in equalization payments while expressing a political veto over oil and gas pipelines and refusing to develop its own resources. These are just some of the aspects of unfairness that have caused Albertans for so many years to demand basic respect and to demonstrate a respect not only for our economic aspirations, but for the Constitution of Canada. And so this is a powerful statement today, a democratic statement where Albertans are demanding to be respected. They're demanding that the jurisdiction of this province under the Canadian Constitution be respected, and demanding that we be able to develop this economy and responsibly develop our resources so that, yes, the rest of Canada can continue to benefit from Alberta's future prosperity. So later today, I will be tabling, as I say, a motion in the legislature to ratify these referendum results and to initiate the amendment process. And we fully expect the Prime Minister to respect the constitutional amendment process and to sit down and negotiate with Alberta in good faith. Of course, our focus ultimately, as I say, is a fair deal, a broader reform of the system of fiscal federalism, a retroactive lifting of the fiscal stabilization program cap to recognize the huge adversity that Alberta has faced in recent years, the repeal or substantial amendment of the No More Pipelines law, the repeal of the discriminatory tanker ban, which targets this province alone.
When preparing our winter forecast, analog years are chosen. These are winter seasons when a similar meteorological setup was in place, including sea surface temperatures, La Nina, and tally connections.
From wild
January 7th,
to mild, every winter has its own personality. And when it comes to this upcoming season, with La Nina conditions in place, it looks like Eastern Canada is in store for a similar winter to 2007 and 2008, which was a winter to remember or forget. So let me refresh your memory.
Really slow and really slippery and really dangerous.
In early December 2007, before the season even officially began, drivers and pedestrians alike were dodging storms, dropping heavy snow and mixed precipitation from Ontario to Quebec to the Maritimes. Just look at these snow totals from 2007 to 2008. Several cities hit over 500 centimeters, including Quebec City and Bathurst, New Brunswick, breaking all-time records, with Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa not far from making snowfall history, with Halifax reaching above average levels too. An expensive year for snow removal, and the weight of all that snow proved too much for the roof of a warehouse in Morin Heights, Quebec. 3 women were killed in the collapse. That winter was also characterized, as is the case for many La Nina winters, with extreme temperature swings.
Pretty messy.
Not pretty.
Not pretty, no.
Milder conditions brought on a thaw and bouts of heavy rain, causing waterways to rise and quicken. In early January, runners were out in shorts when record warmth hit southern Ontario, soon to be replaced by another blast of Arctic air and, yes, more snow, with several more storms dropping flakes well into March. But no two winters are alike, and we'll be watching this year's version closely for these same characteristics.
I'm getting a little tired of it.
With a good chance you'll echo those sentiments by spring, too.
Keep watching Voice of Canada for further updates. Visit our website voiceofcanada.tv.